Thank you so much for coming today. We're talking to Roger from Barclay Group Insurance Agency, and we're going to learn about insurance when it comes to personal insurance, business insurance, and anything that we think we need to know. Roger, welcome so much. All right, well, thank you
Bill,
for
thanks for having me.
coming. So first and foremost, tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Roger Butler, Vice President of the Barclay Group. I've been there for 21 years. I'm also second Vice President of the Professional Insurance Agents New Jersey Association, and I'm also Vice Chair for the Cinnaminson Fire District.
Very cool. So first thing that I think we should figure out is what's the difference between a broker and an agent?
It's the fiduciary responsibility you have. The state makes this distinction. A broker does not have binding authority, and their fiduciary responsibility is to the customer, the client. So if you want to use a broker, he has to go to the company, give them the risk, and then they say yes or no whether they're going to take it or not. As an independent agent, my fiduciary responsibility is to the company, even though I have to represent the client as well. But if I tell you you have coverage after our meeting, you have coverage. I don't have to ask anybody to do it.
Really cool. All right, so that's definitely good to know because I don't think many people pick up on that.
Yeah, most people don't. They just use them interchangeably, and it's not.
It's definitely a big difference. So, all right, so what are the components of an insurance policy? It's always a really long document. Like, what are the key things that people should know are actually in here?
The really key parts of the insurance policy is the declarations page, which has your coverages on there. It has what is being covered, your policy period, your company, your policy number, but it has all your coverages and limits. Okay. That's one of the most important things. The other really important thing that most people don't think about is the exclusions. What's excluded in the policy? What's not covered? So if there's a claim, you know that, hey, I don't have coverage for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right, so then let's kind of go into a little bit of, at least two types of policies that I know about. But you have your business policy, for businesses in general. What are some elements in a business policy that someone who's looking to get business insurance, whether it's for their company or anything else, what are some things that they should look for in there to know what they're getting?
Well, knowing the business is the most important thing. So some companies just have liability because they're like a consultant. Some companies have property liability, an auto, and an umbrella. So there's a lot of different possibilities. But knowing what you need and being truthful with your agent is the important thing, because then your agent can go through everything, explain why you need this, what this is, and what it covers, so that you know that you are comfortable having the correct coverage.
Okay. Now, what are some things that, going on the business policy of things? So what are some things that people might not think they need coverage for, but they probably should? And I know that might be industry specific, but what are some like general terms people should know?
It's time element coverage is what we call it, but it's basically the coverage you get if your business is down due to a cover and loss.
Okay.
Say a tornado comes in and breaks into your business, destroys it, waters all over the place, out of business. Especially if you're a small business, you're out of business. So you want coverage to help you pay your bills, because your electric's still there, your rent or mortgage is still there, your payroll still might be there, your own personal expenses will still be there.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when it comes to, I'm calling it a consumer policy, but basically anyone who's not getting a business policy. So personal insurance, whether it's for cars or houses or boats or whatever. When it comes to that consumer side of things, what are some things that we should pay attention to in those kind of policies?
Well, on the homeowner side or any kind of property side, it's where the structure is involved. You want to pay close attention to how much is on the structure. And if you are underinsured, you're not going to get replacement costs, which means you're going to have money out of the pocket if you have a claim. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have the correct replacement cost based on your square footage and the area you live in. Up north is a lot more expensive than down south. It's just the way it is. I don't know why, but it is. You want to make sure you have the right liability coverage. if you've had your homeowner policy and you lived in your home for 40 years, you might only have $50,000 in liability, which is nothing. You need to bump that up. So you need to talk to your agent to make sure you got the right coverage. And there's other coverage that have come out recently, such as water backup, and that's been around a while, but service line coverage, mechanical breakdown coverage that you can get for a very reasonable price.
Okay. Um, so a follow-up question to that one. I know that there's been you have your regular home insurance that most people are somewhat familiar with, and I say somewhat because a lot of people still don't know what that is. But some other, I guess they're insurances, but that you could clarify for me, like so home warranty, is that considered an insurance or is that considered something different?
That's a warranty. It's not insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's not nothing to do with insurance. There are some companies that have tried to sell it and it has failed miserably.
Okay. No, that's good to know because I think, me myself, I had that confused. I thought that was part of the insurance thing. All right. So then what are 5 things that someone needs insurance, someone that needs insurance should consider before calling to get a policy? Like they know they need one for maybe even a car, a house, or a business. What are 5 things that they should consider before calling to know, have answers for that, their agent or broker is going to be asking?
Well, auto and home are very, very different. So a rental property. So it depends on what type of insurance. So is boat and things of that nature. It depends on what kind of insurance you're looking for. For an auto policy, things you want to know is the things that are important, I guess is a better way to put it, is
Yeah.
young drivers, especially young male drivers. It's not a matter of if with them, it's a matter of when they're going to have their accident. They're out with their friends. Same with the young females, because they're out with their friends, they're texting, they're goofing off and stuff like that. So young drivers are going to have an accident. So if you've got a young driver, the first thing you want to think about is an umbrella. You want to make sure you have that excess layer of liability starting at $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
2, you want to make sure that your coverage on your auto, the physical damage coverage is correct. Some people have 15-year-old cars still carrying collision, and it's a waste of money for them. So you want to know what kind of coverage that you want, or you want to be open to listen to people to explain why they think that you should not have this or you should. But it's ultimately, obviously, it's your decision as a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
3, you want to make sure that you have all the information. You want to make sure you're truthful. So you don't want to be out there finding out what the right answers are to get the lowest rate, because what's going to happen ultimately is you're going to have a claim, and they could deny the claim.
Mm-hmm.
So especially if you're in an accident, there's liability involved. That's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses. You want to know what you have to protect. So if you have a $2 million home and 3 Jaguars, and you think that 1530 liability is enough, it is not. You need the full 250 or better and an umbrella, because they're going to come after your assets.
Mm-hmm.
You injure or kill somebody. And then on a homeowner, you want to know your updates. You want to know to make sure the home is updated. Even if you're buying new, you want to get that inspection so you know the house is updated. A 30-year-old roof is not going to cut it with any insurance company. You're going to have to replace it, or you might not even be able to get insurance. So make sure that everything's updated. And you want to know those dates. Seller's disclosure is fine, but you got to get that in true inspection. It's going to be expensive, but it's worth it.
Okay. Really cool. I think that the last question that I have kind of ties into a little bit of what you've been mentioning, but I guess kind of being a little more specific. So you were mentioning that when you have more expensive stuff, you want higher coverage for policy. So what is a way besides just asking for advice? How can someone figure out where they should really be with having enough coverage over something? Is there a way that they could come up with it so that when they go to someone, they can come from a sense of okay, I don't need to get this extra, extra, extra. I'm good here. How does someone determine where that enough coverage would start? I don't know if that makes sense.
Your insurance professional. If you answer them truthfully and say that I have $5 million in investments for my retirement, I want to make sure they're protected. just be truthful with them, and they're not going to judge you. They're not going to think anything different. They're going to say, okay, then you're going to probably want to start here, and this is the price, and then you can go from there. You can go up, you can go down. Again, you're free to make your own choice on your coverage law, but we're there to guide you and suggest and to give you your options so that you can make an informed decision.
Cool. Awesome. So definitely a lot of information in a quick amount of time. It's been very good. I really appreciate your time, Roger. And do you have any little things that you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
Always go to your independent agent. Don't
Okay.
call your rep who's been licensed 3 years. Go to your independent agent who has several companies, and this way, because the round peg doesn't always fit in a square hole, and one size doesn't fit all. So you want to make sure that you have options, because certain companies are better for certain things than others.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Roger. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure talking to you.